Hello, minions and monsters. Welcome back to this little Diablo retrospective rambly mini-series thing that I've been doing to fill out some time slots. I'm away at a convention for a while now. Hopefully it's all been going well. I don't know. I'm recording this ahead of time. And YouTube tends to punish creators who don't upload videos on a regular schedule, so I had to find something to do that would be relatively interesting, hopefully, for my audience, and which would be relatively easy to produce, and so I settled on these videos. If you followed the previous videos, you will know all of this already, and I don't know why I spent all this time telling you just now. Anyway, in the last episode, I spent a lot of time talking about the themes and the thematic resonance that was at play in the original Diablo, which I think is a really rich game in terms of theme, which is something I don't see a lot of discussion about in the appraisals of the Diablo series. I never really see anyone talk about what Diablo 1 was even about. And we talked about what I see as some pretty serious deficiencies that began to show themselves in Diablo 2, which became bigger and bigger and bigger and just kind of scaled up everything, because that was what gamers wanted back in those days, and I was very much one of the gamers who wanted just things to scale up and get bigger, because that, you know, we were longing to see what games looked like when they weren't so heavily, you know, limited by just the limitations of technology at the time, which was very limited. Like, they really... Diablo 1 is very much a result of its very limited budget, and its very limited, you know, amount of staff, and its limited production time, and the limited amount of memory that you could even use, and the limited graphical capabilities of the computers at the time. Diablo is a product of all of that. And that was why Diablo 2 just went for bigger and better, because that was the natural upgrade. That was the natural way to go. Make the story bigger, make the stakes bigger, make, you know, the adventure bigger, make everything bigger. Bigger stats, bigger weapons, bigger items, bigger character roster, bigger amount of abilities and skills that you're able to acquire, all of that. And so the intimacy was lost. That was what we discussed last time. How the hell am I already facing Dark Ones at level 3? Jesus, that's early. And so in this video, I think I want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of Diablo, the gameplay of Diablo, because that's kind of where I think ultimately Diablo kind of went wrong, and how it kind of fell apart as a thing. Now, Diablo 1 is a very click-heavy game. Like, I've been clicking my damn mouse finger off the whole time. Everything I do is with the mouse, just clicking around. I have a few hotkeys to grab some potions and shit, but yeah, it's a clicking game. And no doubt about it. And that's, you know, that's not really a knock against the game. It's a very efficient way to control things, really, especially on a Windows PC back in the day, where, like, controllers weren't normal yet. Although I really do think that it'd be interesting to try and play Diablo 1 with a controller, and they did do a PlayStation port of the game back in the day that I actually heard really good things about, but I never got to play. I should try that out, maybe. I'm sure I can find a ROM flying around somewhere on the internet. But the mechanics of Diablo. The first Diablo is clunky. I can only move in 8 directions right now, and, like, my interaction with the world is I click on a thing and then the thing does something. Maybe I do damage to it and it dies, or I open the chest or I pick up the gold, or, you know, whatever. But clicking is incredibly central to what Diablo is, as Diablo 1 was as a series, as a franchise, because, again, very much the limitations of its time. There weren't really any controllers. WASD, in terms of, like, being a movement thing, hadn't really been invented yet. See, this is how you get in trouble in Diablo 1, is when you get surrounded and you can't kill enemies fast enough to do crowd control. Ugh. So you'll notice that I spent some mana there. That's because one of the features of this mod, and one of the smart things it does from a game design perspective, is fix that problem that Diablo 1 has, which is that the warrior has no crowd control whatsoever. He has no ability to hit more than one target at a time, because he never gets good at spells, which are the only things in the game that can really do that for you. And so in this mod, he acquires some skills as he levels up, And the one I've got going right now is Cleave, which allows me to hit multiple targets at a time and do some crowd control. And thank God for that in this situation, or probably, I mean, decent chance I would have died. But that's also kind of the thing I want to talk about in terms of how Diablo developed as a franchise, is that push towards bigger, better, bigger, better, bigger is better that was going on in game design at the time, and which I don't necessarily have a problem with, to be honest. Does this increase my damage output? Yeah, it does, because I get better chance to hit. Every character comes with they come with in the new games come with skill points, and that's not something that was in the original Diablo. Like, if you were playing the warrior, as indeed I am, you were stuck with clicking on things from a mechanical standpoint. That was literally that was going to be the thing that you could do as a player, is just click on stuff until it dies. And that carried over into Diablo 2. Diablo 2 is also very much a clicker game. Even, like, there's more hotkeys and stuff involved, but the majority of your interaction with the world in the game happens through clicks. You just click on stuff. You drag stuff, you click on stuff, you pull things to your inventory, you click on enemies, you click on everything. Left click and right click, those were your interaction points. And that made, again, that made perfect sense for the time, because even at that time still, more involved control schemes and stuff like that weren't really the norm. And that begins to have some consequences, though, as we get to Diablo 3. Now, in this game, my choice of weapon matters a great deal. Different weapons have different attack speeds in terms of, like, just using my ordinary melee attack. So for the warrior especially, attack speed is a really big deal, because that's the only thing that allows him to put out enough damage to enough different targets to survive a crowd situation, especially in the original. But you had other choices. You could, for instance, go with two-handed weapons, which, while they certainly tend to be a lot slower without any specific enchantments, they also could do a lot more damage in a single hit, which was really valuable sometimes. Like, you might want to do that. You might want to give up the shield and the protection that the shield offers in order to have that two-handed weapon. It would change how you approach things as the warrior. Not a ton, but a little bit. Like, it was a thing that mattered. It was a thing that you should care about and pay attention to, exactly, what kind of weapon you chose and how you chose to deal with that aspect of your character. That was still true in Diablo 2 to a certain extent. Like, the weapon you chose could have a lot of influence on your gameplay style, and you could change just the abilities you were able to use, especially as the Amazon. That was a thing. But then we hit Diablo 3. And yeah, all of a sudden, your weapon doesn't matter anymore. If you're a wizard, it doesn't matter if you're running around with a magic wand imbued with arcane power to help, focus your magical abilities into more potent combinations, or if you're running around with a club that you took off some troll that you murdered, so long as the club has better numbers attached to it. And all of the weapons, all of the skills in Diablo 3 are tied to weapons. Like, they all do percent weapon damage. So, the only means, the only thing the weapon means is just, does this have a better damage output than the previous weapon? Does this change my stats for the better? Or just change them for the worse? And so, weapons and indeed equipment in Diablo 3 become kind of meaningless. Like, they don't really mean anything. It's just, it doesn't matter if you're holding a great sword or a tiny dagger. It matters whether that tiny dagger has a better set of numbers attached to it than the other dagger. And it doesn't matter what character class you play. Just pick up whatever lets you do better numbers. And again, I'm not here to hold up Diablo 1 as this, masterpiece of just underappreciated fantastic game design, because like I've been telling you, it is a clicker game. You just click on stuff. It's not mechanically complex in any way. And Diablo 3 is a lot more mechanically complex. Like, there's a lot more stuff you have to do with the abilities that you've got in order to be effective, especially at higher difficulty levels. But the mentality behind Diablo 3 is a clicker mentality, and that was something I think it inherited very much by accident from its predecessors, but it is a clicker mentality. It's a mentality that, okay, you're just gonna click on stuff. So who cares about the weapon in a lot of ways? Hey, nice. You're just gonna be clicking on stuff. So instead of making the weapon make any kind of a substantial difference to your playstyle, just streamline it a little bit. That's really the thing. It's just a streamlining that happened. Where instead of you having to bother yourself with thinking about which weapon you equip or thinking about, it's just about finding more numbers. Like, everything you find is just more numbers, better numbers. Does it have better numbers than the previous thing? And if it does, then equip it. And if it doesn't, then don't equip it. But there's no... The weapons don't matter to the character is what I'm trying to get at here, I think. The weapons don't matter to the character. Like, if you play as a barbarian, yeah, sure, run around with a wand. It doesn't matter if you run around with a wand. Can't remember if they can equip wands in the game, but it doesn't matter what weapon you run around with. It doesn't matter what kind of equipment you choose for yourself, so long as it has better numbers. And the reason I call that a clicker mentality is when the whole Diablo controversy thing about the announcement was kicking off, one of my friends, Scarizard, on Twitter said, slightly derisively, that he was a little bit confused why people were getting so upset that someone put Gothic cookie clicker on mobile. And I thought that was a really good observation. It's really what kind of kicked off a lot of my thinking about this at all, is Diablo 3 is Gothic cookie clicker. And that's what I mean when I say it has a clicker mentality to its thing. In Diablo 3, it doesn't matter what weapon you have, and it doesn't matter what the thing is. All that matters is you make your numbers go up. That's it. That's the thing that matters. It doesn't matter how you want to play. It doesn't matter what your playstyle is like. If you pick up an item, it's just, does it make your numbers go up? If yes, equip it. If not, whatever. The weapon doesn't change your playstyle. The weapon doesn't change how you interact with the world. It doesn't change the nature of each click that you put into the world. It doesn't change the nature of the clicks that you do. And that's the thing that happens in the first Diablo, is that the different weapons, especially for the warrior, does change the nature of the clicks. Right now I have a really, really fast weapon, which I'm quite pleased about, which is quite useful. And so I don't know if you can hear it, but my clicking right now is really, really fast, and I just have to spam click on whatever I want to kill as much as possible in order to do the killing, and in order to, win the fights. But if you, for instance, are playing as the rogue and you're using a bow and arrow, it's not enough to just stand around spam clicking. You have to actually aim, and you have to use the force attack, which is you hold down shift and you can make your character attack in any direction. That's extremely important as the rogue, because you have to avoid getting surrounded. You have to avoid getting into close combat as much as you can. So you'll want to stay at a distance and just aim at various enemies by shift clicking and pointing in the right direction. That's something that was retained for Diablo 2 and the Amazon. And so the nature of the clicks that you have to engage with, even though you can only click in order to accomplish stuff in Diablo 1, the nature of that click can change a lot depending on what you've got going on in terms of items. That's gone in Diablo 3. You can still change the nature of what each click does by changing, like, the ability that you've got hotkeyed to to your various things. I don't know what that thing just did. But it doesn't matter what item you pick up. It just matters what's your skill points, like what's your build, what's your loadout. And you can change your loadout at any time. You don't have to commit to anything, really, in any way. You can just change your loadout at any time. You can change what skills and abilities you have, which again is convenient in terms of like, if, oh, I've come into this situation with these enemies and I have to be able to do a different thing, so I can just change my skill loadout to be whatever the hell I want it to be. Which means you're not building a character anymore, you're building a set of stats for maximum efficiency. Is the thing, is what you're doing is you're just... Your interaction with your character is put together... I forgot to buy a town portal, didn't I? I have to walk back up to level 2, don't I? Yes, I do. You're putting together a bundle of stats and a bundle of abilities with the maximum efficiency for the situations that you are about to encounter. And it's convenient, and it's streamlined, and it makes the clicking easier, and makes you have to think and worry less about the nature of each click, because anything can be changed at any time. And it makes the character less interesting as a person, I think, insofar as it's possible for a Diablo character to be interesting as a person. Where the hell's the waypoint? There it is. And that, it's a clicker mentality. Like, building a character in Diablo 3, to me, is exactly like increasing your stats in Cookie Clicker. Like buying another set of grandmas or ovens or factories or whatever, or any of the other clicker games that came out in the aftermath of Cookie Clicker. It's exactly like that. It's just increase the numbers. Just increase the numbers. It doesn't matter how or what. It just just find the most efficient way to increase your numbers as much as possible. That's the only thing you ever do in that game. And I don't want to hold up Diablo 1 or indeed Diablo 2 as these masterpieces of game design that were clearly superior in every way, because no, I think Diablo 3 is in every way a much better put together game than any of its predecessors. And certainly a lot more, I hesitate to say fun to play, but that's really what I mean. Like, it's a lot more fun to play. It's a lot more I can just pick it up and I can play it and I can click on things and I can kill things and I can get the dopamine hit. The Skinner box dopamine hit of finding new items all the time. And, you know, increasing my numbers, seeing the stats go up, seeing the numbers go up, seeing my click use become more efficient, and seeing everything get smoother and faster and easier. All the time. And that changes the nature of the game. Like I complained about in the last episode, Diablo 3 has no damn story. Or rather, it has story. Oh my god, my shield broke. Oh no, my strength just changed because of the damn fountain I clicked on. Damn it, that's what happened. Okay.
Whoa, what can I do for you?
And so, Diablo 3 is not a game about story. At all, in any way. Diablo 3 is not about its story at all. It's not about its world. It's not about its characters. It's not about, you know, Leia's tragic transformation into Diablo. It's not about her relationship with her mother. It's not about the impact of what the Dark Wanderer, Aiden, did when he chose to transform himself into Diablo. It's not about anything. It's not about any of that. Diablo 3 is about click the thing to make the number go up. And it's about that on every level. It's about that, you know, whether you are going through the game and just doing the gameplay and, you know, killing things, picking up items, killing things, picking up items, killing things, picking up items, yada, yada, so on and so forth. Or whether it's in the story. Like, the story doesn't matter. The story is just an excuse to get you to the place where you can click on more things that have better stats, so that you can get to the next place where you can click on things that have more stats, so you can get to the next place where you can click on things that have more stats and you can increase the numbers. Diablo 3 is a game about increasing the numbers. In Diablo 1, yeah, you're still increasing the numbers. That's very much part of the gameplay loop. But the rest of the game doesn't exist in service to increasing the numbers. Increasing the numbers exists in service to the game itself, in service to its themes. You know, with you know, whatever limited success you think it may have at that, that's at least something that it tries to do. Oh boy. Oh fuck. Oh no, burning dead. No. Oh god. Okay. And I'm using fire, of course, which is not super efficient against them. And it's an elite mob. Great. Oh boy. This is where... Oh no, fuck, I activated the... Oh no, I activated the Overlords. No, I pulled them. I pulled aggro. I didn't know they were there. That's bad. That's not good. That's super bad, actually. The skeletons in this game are the most annoying things. Ah, shit. Fuck, 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 fuck. See what I mean when I said Diablo, the original Diablo, can spike in difficulty really quickly? I'm dealing with multiple elite mobs over here, as well as fucking horrors, which are fortunately easier to deal with because they're not fire resistant. Ugh, thank God they don't follow me that closely, at least. Okay, let's try that again. No, don't want to get ambushed from behind. Don't want to get surrounded. Go away. Oh boy, that got tense all of a sudden. Oh no, they're there. There they are. They're back. There's more of them. They went around the other way. Oh good, they tried to ambush me the other way around. I think that was an accident of the AI, but still. Screw you guys. No. See, that's the thing. If you get hit with a projectile, the projectile sprite flying across the screen from an archer in this game, then you get hit unless you can block with your shield. Again, much like we encountered down at the underground river place thing, Overlords are enemies that are from substantially later in the game that are being used as mini-bosses here. So I'm basically dealing with 3 groups of mini-bosses right now. Please die, please die, please die. Yes, thank God. And he cursed me with something. I don't know what it is yet. Skeletons will run away for as long as they want. Like, you can chase them, like, across an entire goddamn level. These fucking skeleton archers. And the moment you don't chase them anymore, they turn right back around and shoot these projectiles at you, which, again, will hit you. Ugh, good lord. Okay. No matter what you do. What the hell were we talking about before all this shit happened? I don't know. Right. Making the numbers go up in this game is in service to the narrative. Like, as you descend into the labyrinth, as you become more and more powerful, you are also absorbing more and more of the trauma that affects Tristram, that's affecting the town, that's affecting the world, the trauma that you're fighting against. You're literally absorbing more and more of Diablo's influence. And as you become more powerful, as you gain more power... By the way, power was the thing that Lazarus wanted. Power was the thing that corrupted him. You also come ever, ever closer to that moment at the end when you will pick up the Soul Stone and you will jam it into your head and you will take Diablo into yourself and you will be corrupted as well. Like, the whole making the numbers go up, becoming more powerful, all of that is in service to this fundamental underlying narrative about the corrupting nature of power. Like, because again, all the misery in Diablo 1 is inflicted by the powerful on those who are not powerful. Oh, good, more archers. That's good. That's great. And so the more powerful you become, the closer you come to corruption. And that's not like a thing Diablo invented. Like, that's really common narrative structure, but it's a narrative structure that's there. In Diablo 3, your power doesn't mean anything. Your power changes nothing about who you are. It changes nothing about your characterization or who you become. In fact, power in Diablo 3 is celebrated. as you become more powerful, that's like the characters you're with will celebrate. They have little voice lines like indicating level ups and stuff like that. It's aha, congratulations on getting more power. But it doesn't change who you are as a character. It doesn't change the interpretation of the story that by the end of the game, like at the start of the game, you're doing like 20, 30, 100 damage or something like that per thing you do. And by the end of the game, you're doing like 10,000 damage with a single spellcast or something like that. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything about who your character is or what's going on in the story. It doesn't interact with anything that's going on narratively in the game. And so the narrative only exists as an excuse to convey you to bigger numbers, to get bigger numbers. The bigger numbers are the point. They are not a feature of the game. They are the entire point and purpose of the game. The Skinner box kind of drip feed pleasure loop of finding new things and increasing the stat and increasing the power that you can do with every hit and so on and so forth. That Skinner box loop, that little, pleasure sensation, the loot loop, is the entire point of the game. It's the entire point of Diablo 3. It's what Diablo 3 is about, and it's the only thing it is about. Everything else revolves around that, exists in service to that and nothing else. And that's the big problem I have with Diablo 3, is that like Scarizard said, like my friend Patrick Scarborough, who has a YouTube channel that you should go and look at because he does really cool magic. He plays magic with his friends, and they try to dig each other over in the most creative ways possible. And it's just lovely to watch. It's called Friendetta, and I'm going to link to that down in the description. It's like he said, it's just Gothic cookie clicker. Oh, hey, you get a look at, see? Like I said, when you equip certain types of equipment, you get a little bump in how you look as a character model. I remember the first time I managed to put on better armor in Diablo 1 back in the day, and yes, we're still gonna be going back into Old Man Skyne's nostalgia well here. Kind of a big deal to put on that better armor for the first time and see yourself become cooler looking. Oh, and by the way, this knight armor with the cross on the shield and stuff makes you look a lot like a good guy.
What ails you, my friend?
The armor that you get at the next level, when you upgrade yourself one more time, is dark, black, with spikes all over. It's very aggressive looking. It's very dark looking. It's almost kind of evil looking. Although we probably won't get to see that over the course of this little series, because I think we might be calling it to a close. That's, is that 4 episodes? Is that 3 episodes? I can't remember. I'm going to record one more episode where we just play through a little bit. I'm going to go kill the Skeleton King, and we'll talk a little bit more about King Leoric and Albrecht and Lazarus and Lazarus. I don't know why I said Lazarus like I have a lisp. I don't have a lisp. Lazarus. And then we'll call this quits. And that should be enough videos to tide me over until I get back home from Koyokon, the convention that I'm at currently. Assuming this video goes up when it's supposed to. So, thank you very much for watching. If you are enjoying this little playthrough of Diablo and talking about some of the themes and the underlying stuff that's going on with it, well, you can hit the like button down below and I'll be very grateful for that. This is filler content, just to kind of get me through the day so that YouTube doesn't penalize my channel for me not uploading. So feel free to hit the dislike button as well. If that's not something you're really interested in, I think it's fair enough to hit the dislike button for that. Patreon if you want to, or if you like, or if you don't want to, you can go as well, and you can donate to me if you don't want to. I don't know how that would work, and also please don't do that. And see you in the next video, I suppose. Oh man, it's like 4 a.m. right now.